Hello. Let us take a closer look at this heavy strike Juggernaut build. The Pillar of the Caged God is a staff that has its damage increased alongside your strength, creating an opportunity for a strength stacking attack build. We've selected one of the most straightforward skills in the game, which is Heavy Strike. It has excellent effectiveness of added damage and attack speed. It's very similar to Bone Shatter. We just have to spend one support gem to make space for trauma support that is characteristic of Bone Shatter. However, the Heavy Strike has a much higher damage multiplier and effectiveness of added damage, and it's imperative for our weapon of choice. To mitigate the self-inflicted damage, pick a Juggernaut with Unbreakable. Jug is also a superb choice due to Undeniable. It grants accuracy equal to twice that of your strength and increases the attack speed per accuracy. It's one of the most potent archetypes a melee character can make use of. Strength provides you with a lot of maximum life and melee physical damage. It will play a role in creating an extremely tanky character with tons of maximum life. Due to the nature of this build, the character has to be tanky. It's slow, short-ranged, and its damage grows over time with trauma stacks. It's a melee build with one damaging ability, which is Heavy Strike. It has high chance of dealing double damage, knocks back enemies on hit, and stuns them often. It lacks any distinguishing features, very plain and straightforward. We've also implemented Impale and Critical Strikes. Maximum life, armor, life recovery, endurance charges, high elemental resistances, and some block chance make this build very durable. It's extremely tanky and scales really well with armor. Equip the Brass Dome to make the best use of your Unbreakable passive. Clear speed is bad. Don't expect anything too fast even with Ancestral Call-On. It takes some time to start dealing serious damage, but the build is tanky, you can afford the luxury of taking all the hits. The build uses mostly rare items, but there are plenty of uniques that can be used. It's a good starter. The only required unique item is the Pillar of the Caged God. It requires a lot of strength, at least 1000. All the other uniques we have listed are good too as a cheap substitute, or if you already have all the necessary resistances, attributes, and accuracy. The damage your weapon increases must also be high to begin with. You'll need flat added physical damage to attacks. It comes from trauma and rage, but acquiring it from gear is also important. The Iron Fortress is a good option. This armor grants a lot of strength, armor, and block chance. You can also pick the Life Mastery for 15% increased maximum life with it. Only the best rare will be better than this. The Brass Dome is an obvious choice. It is used to mitigate physical and elemental damage, but it also significantly lowers your maximum life due to the one downside. Use only if you have low armor and low maximum elemental resistances. Tanu Ahi gloves are great in a lot of trauma-based builds with Leech, as they often provide you with Adrenaline, which is a very powerful buff that increases your damage and survivability. Ryslath's Coil is an excellent belt in most melee builds, but this one especially. It grants tons of damage, including flat damage, life, strength, and 50 life on stun. The Magnate is a very good choice too. It has strength, resistances, 50% increased flask charges gained, 10% chance to deal double damage, and 5% for triple damage. Astramentus, a cheap amulet with a lot of attributes and nothing else. It's suitable for this build, but a very expensive rare can be much better. Lethal Pride is used to obtain more strength by placing it next to your allocated passives. The socket near Vigor seems like the best option. Look for Pride modifiers on your Watcher's Eye. The extra 2 Impale is the best one. Attack speed is quite important, not only to deliver damage faster but to generate more trauma stacks. Get the basic defensive modifiers like maximum life, armor, spell suppression, block chance, and chaos resistance. Only 96 intelligence is required if you use enlightened support, and 155 dexterity due to blood rage. You won't get intelligence on a skill tree, so get it from items. The helmet will be expensive if you want the best possible one. Here, aim for the Warlord's mod for extra strength sourced from accuracy, maximum life, and a lot of strength. Rare body armor is where you can gain a lot of strength. We recommend getting the Warlord one, it has an excellent pool of mods you will benefit from. Pick a pair of boots with resistances, maximum life, movement speed, and strength, just the basics. Gloves should grant you strength, maximum life, resistances, and maybe accuracy. Implicits from Eldritch Orbs for extra strike or rage on hit would be a good addition. On your belt look for strength, maximum life, and resistances. Get the Stygian Vice, you can socket a jewel there that will get you even more strength. Look for a synthesized amulet with increased strength. It's the best option, so it may be expensive. It should have flat strength and maximum life too. Steel rings are great as they add physical damage, but the best in slot rings will have a synthesized implicit for increased strength, much like the amulet does. Go for the usual modifiers like life, resistances, and attributes. You can also craft a reduced mana cost of skills prefix. On your rare jewels look for strength, a 7% increased maximum life, and whatever is missing. Attack speed will be the most important. Abyss jewels, especially the murderous ones, will give you flat physical damage, so they're good too. Overlord grants Fortify on hit, so this is what we would recommend. All of the listed notables will be good too. Look for them on a cluster jewel with 8 passives. Progenesis, while expensive, is also great in this build as you take damage constantly, so the mitigation it provides is very valuable. Be sure you have decent life leech or recoup to make good use of it. It's superb with the Magnate. You can select a second life flask if you can't afford it. For your other flasks, get a life flask with instant life recovery and bleed immunity, a basalt flask with increased armor, a silver flask with increased attack speed, and a granite flask with reduced effect of curses on you. Heavy Strike. It deals a lot of physical damage, has a high chance of dealing double damage, reduces enemy stun threshold, and knocks enemies back. Link it with Brutality, Trauma, and Ruthless. In our setup, we added increased duration so that trauma stacks last longer, and Rage for added flat damage per rage. This way, it's suited for long fights. Pride increases the physical damage your enemies are receiving. The effect is stronger after 4 seconds. Determination adds and increases your armor for better physical damage mitigation. Precision adds accuracy and increases critical strike chance. Link these auras with Enlightened support so that they'll reserve less mana. Ancestral Warchief grants more melee damage. Ancestral Protector grants more attack speed. Multiple totem support allows you to summon both ancestral totems at the same time. Link them with Maim support. It maims enemies, reducing their movement speed, and making them take more physical damage. Use Life Tap instead if you cannot afford these totems. Vengeance damages nearby enemies after taking a hit, which you constantly receive with trauma stacks. Use Leap Slam to move faster and jump over obstacles. It always stuns enemies on full life. Link these two with Stun, Endurance Charge on melee stun, faster attacks, and Life Tap support gems. This setup will generate endurance charges. Molten Shell, a guard spell that reduces a portion of incoming damage. It prevents more damage than more armor you have. Ancestral Cry enhances strike attacks, making them able to target 2 additional enemies and increasing their range. Vulnerability is a hex curse to make your enemies take increased physical damage and causes maim. Blood Rage increases your attack speed, life leech, and generates frenzy charges on kill while draining your life. Use Berserk for a brief bonus to damage and durability. It will drain all of your rage. You may lack a socket for this one, so if that's the case, forfeit faster attacks support in the Vengeance setup. Kill all the bandits for the 2 extra passive skill points. It's the only sound solution to the quest from Act 2. Select the Soul of Lunaris as your major god. It reduces elemental damage taken and increases your mobility when there are a lot of enemies around you. Soul of Gruthkul seems like the best option for a minor god. Use it for additional physical damage reduction for each hit you've taken recently, which you do constantly via trauma support. On the passive skill tree, focus on strength, maximum life, and your damage. That is 2-hand staff critical strike physical impale type of damage. All these passives are in the bottom right quarter of the skill tree. Don't forget to gather reservation efficiency, some life leech, and call to arms keystone. For masteries, get plus 50 maximum life and shift 30% of the mana cost of skills to life as life masteries, mana reservation efficiency as mana mastery, more maximum physical damage as physical mastery, increased attributes as attribute mastery, 10% of leech as instant as leech mastery, extra strike targeting as strike mastery, armor per strength as armor mastery, and increased defenses as staff mastery. That is all for this build. It's quite simple, but if you have any questions, ask us in the comments. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Bye.